Accessibility to public beaches is everyone's right. The ability to feel the sand under your foot or wade into the water as the waves crash into the shore may sound like small and simple pleasures, but that's not the case for everyone. Have you ever wondered how accessible our beaches are for those who are differently abled? In fact, it doesn't just end with our beaches. How accessible are our public places for those who are differently abled? While there is definitely a lot to be done that in this particular space, however, there is a start from somewhere. In fact, we come to you from Candolim Beach in Goa today, where a simple yet a moving initiative has been taken by a team of people, and in fact they have laid out ramps across the beach so that those who are differently abled can access the beach from the road and they do not need much help, and they can also venture out into the sea. Let's go over to the guys from Umoja who have in fact in this particular beach fest come up with the floating wheelchair. So coming over to you, Ben, what was the entire initiative about, and tell me about what are the accessibilities, what have you done in this particular instance that can help those who are differently abled?
Sure, so maybe a good place to start would be to look at one of the main objectives of this whole exercise. We were looking at basically providing a holistic experience for everybody, an inclusive experience for everyone to be able to experience the beach and the sea. So in order for us to fulfill that, we had to bear in mind from the start what needs that guest would have. So we started by looking at the journey from, for example, the car park, the hotel, all the way down to the beach. So we looked at the hotels to start with, and we constructed ramps within the hotels. We engaged with local engineers. We gave them measurements on how to construct an accessible ramp. After that, we came down to the beach shack itself, where we're standing now, and we started to work on the ramp. The ramp goes all the way down, as you've just said, from the beach shack all the way down to the sea. However, if you go down to the end of the ramp, there's a very nice standing point. We kind of realized that in itself that was not enough. People coming all the way to Goa to see the sea. Once you get to the end of the ramp, you see the sea. Maybe you'd want to actually go inside the sea. Right. So after constructing the ramp, a nice ramp over 1.2 meters wide, we also decided to introduce a floating wheelchair. And I'm sure you've seen it several times today in action as well. Right. So the floating wheelchair enables wheelchair users and other people to be able to actually experience the sea for themselves.
Right, so let's go over to in fact a few of the people who have used this floating wheelchair coming to you. So how has the experience been? Now, this is the first time in India. In fact, you have such an experience, a floating wheelchair, which takes you probably around 10 to 20 meters into the sea. So, how's the experience been like for you?
The experience was euphoric, and I've captured in my senses, and I want to go for it again tomorrow if I get a chance. Yeah. So, as you correctly said, this is the first of its kind experience. Though we've been to beaches, it's not that we don't, but then we always have to lift it, carried, and there is only this much that we can go. But as Ben just correctly put it, the fact that there was a ramp, the miracle wave, what they called it, and to go right up to on your chair dignifiedly, on your own, to go up to there and then lower yourself into that floating chair and get right into the waves is something which was awesome. I mean, you cannot, we cannot just explain in words how we felt to be into the water for the first time and actually feeling the waves hitting our bodies. It was a euphoric experience.
This entire beach fest is for 10 days. So the ramp is going to be here for 10 days. So ma'am, post that, let's say 10 days after that, in fact, you're one of the reasons why when it comes to the permissions aspect of it has been sorted, and you all have been proactive in that sense. But let's say how, in terms of, it's not just the beaches, but across Goa, across India, in fact, we need so much more that needs to be done to make our country more accessible when it comes to differently abled people. So what steps can be taken on that front?
See, the Act and the laws are all over India are actually very good. Where we lag behind is the implementation of the laws. And the new Act which is coming on disabilities covers most of these aspects of crossing the barriers. So I think if the Act is put in place in the perspective, a lot of things will improve.
Right. So, all right.
And making these things on a permanent basis, we need to take it forward with the. It has to be a partnership between the public, the government, and the private bodies. Only when we work hand in hand and negotiate things on the table, I think most of the problems will be solved, and we'll get to march forward.
So you have a more holistic understanding of, let's say, how tourism functions when it comes to differently abled. So what have you seen across the country, in fact? Not just about the beaches. What I'm talking about is hotels, I'm talking about monuments, I'm talking about public recreation centers where, in fact, there is barely any infrastructure that supports them when they go out there and they want to enjoy some time in the park, let's say, or at a monument.
Goa Tourism, in fact, has taken a number of initiatives to launch new exciting products. In fact, Goa Tourism has partnered with Umoja because they are one of the most exciting players in this field of specially abled or differently abled people. As you know, tourism is the #1 employer in India, and it is one of the most emerging markets in terms of revenue generation. This particular field has been underdeveloped, and we want to tie up with our partners like Umoja, creating special events like the Beach Fest 2017 and a lot of unique intellectual properties where we can bring to the forefront a number of issues, not only wheelchair access, but creating equal opportunities to each and every tourist, traveler, or a local. We also want to take a number of initiatives from our side by providing ramps in our properties, by dedicating special rooms with differently abled facilities. But our paramount focus will be on safety, will be on security, will be for providing accessibility for one and all, and more so to welcome people of all ages, of all shortfalls to come and enjoy the natural beauty and bounty that Goa has to offer.
So my question to you is, when we think about differently abled, it's not just those who have a problem with mobility, but also those who are visually impaired as well. So how do you make our locations, in fact, it's not just one aspect that you need to think of, it's a holistic approach that you need to make it accessible to not just one part of the society, but also to everyone else. What has been your experience like personally? Let's say when you come on the beach, what has been your experience like?
If I have actually come personally with my family to beach, now for example today I'm there with my wife and my son here. Many times you have to think twice whether we'll be able to manage alone or no, #1. Because if suppose we know we are entering a beach from a particular entrance, fine. But the moment we are there on the sand, we will be managing ourselves to go towards the water. But while returning back, are we coming on the same way what we were while entering or no? That's always a question with us. But today when we entered, we have got a small kid of around 1.4 years. He was very much, we were so comfortable for taking him from the shack here till the waters and coming back. We said, Kenny, it is absolutely manageable. Secondly, we use the white cane. That also becomes very easy on the ramp which is being put up. Right? Then we are very much confident enough to move around very comfortably. That's a very good thing. Actually, what I was speaking to Ben, Yeshwant and the team here, I was actually very happy. I was there for the inauguration also. That the moment I saw, I went home and I told my wife, Kenny, whatever it is, we have to visit it once. Right? It's an experience which has to be there, and I would actually request people to retain this or to create these things permanently wherever possible.
Right. So are you from Goa?
I'm from Goa. Right. I am a state civil service officer working for the government. Secondly, I would also add one aspect which could be then added specifically for persons with visual impairment. Now we are there on a beach. Right, we are there, we go into waters, we come back, and we are sitting in a shack. We are sitting in a shack wherein probably we are having a food or snacks. Many times what happens is we take help of the waiter or of the management of the particular restaurant to ask them, okay, what is there in the menu. Some people ask the price, some people feel a bit reluctant to, okay, nahi yaar, theek hai, main price kaise puchun. Right? There is this concept also which is now come in the country called accessible menus. Right? Braille menus, but it is not only Braille. It has got option of Braille. On there the menu is printed and also you have got a audio feedback, right? It has already started in Bombay, right, in the restaurant chains of Blue Diamond. It has already been started. So if you are probably thinking of these kind of things, it will be really nice. Thirdly, for persons with hearing impairment, if we could have interpreters, right? So now there are a lot of tourist guides many places. Now if they want to go, they have to move around. If they are explaining to other tourists, I suppose the interpreter should be there to explain persons with hearing impairment also, right? Then the moment all those things are covered, I suppose many things are then covered, right? Because it is not really necessary for a braille aspect to be there everywhere for persons with, now personally, me speaking, my wife speaking, we don't know braille, right? We are totally onto coming up onto a computer age. We are completely operating computers and mobile phones, so probably we are not so much habituated to braille. So all these things, it is when we actually think, the moment it comes to an inclusion thing, I'm seeing such good things. I'm really inspired, and wherever we can be a help of somewhere, we'll be very, very happy to be.